Good morning, guys. Happy Friday. It's time again for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency news. I am George. It's definitely a good day to be streaming. It's a good day. It's a Friday. And look at Bitcoin, $11,363. Right now, us holders are feeling pretty good. Bitcoin seems to have finally broken out of his 9,000 consolidation period, and now not only are we above 10,000, we're above 11,000, and Bitcoin is still holding strong. So it's definitely a good time to be a Bitcoin holder and a Bitcoin bull, not a bear. And honestly, it's starting to feel like 2017 again, where Bitcoin had all the momentum and it just rallied up and up and up, and it seemingly, like it never came down, but it did. But overall, we know 2017 is when Bitcoin went from 1,000, then 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 6,000, and then, of course, ended at $20,000. That's why I made the title what it is. Bitcoin to 20,000 soon, because it feels a lot like 2017 again. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe to the channel. YouTube has a different way of streaming, very similar to Twitch, where you could just get started right away. So I'm trying that now. I don't know if that's any better, because notifications for my live streams is still not working. I know when I had a live stream earlier this week, people were saying they weren't getting notified. So I don't know if this is the same way. I put on Facebook, Twitter. That's why I have Twitter in the bottom left-hand corner now. In case you guys aren't following me on Twitter, make sure you do so at least you get notifications for my live streams. And it's my main communication tool. So if there's anything I need to discuss, if I get thrown off YouTube again or anything else that happens, you guys will be the first to know it. So make sure that you follow me on Twitter as well. All right, let's get started. There's a lot to talk about. Oh, and I did a survey on Twitter I forgot about. I'm going to show the results and tell you what my thoughts are. And I'll do that right now, right off the bat. So on Twitter, the last thing I posted, besides today's, was this. Bitcoin to 14K or 10K first. And surprising, a lot of you guys, you're still feeling it. Hey, Val, yep, I fixed that, and thank you for that. You could see, a lot of people still not too bullish, right? Or trying to be more realistic, and most people voted that they would that they think that Bitcoin will hit 10K first. But 40% said 14K, and then 7% said 20K. Obviously, you can't hit 20K first without going 14K. That's just silly. But honestly, right now, the way Bitcoin is, the way, just everything behind it, what's causing it to go up, fear of inflation, this narrative of being a store of value, all this stuff. It's looking like it's going to hit 14K before 10K. When I say 10K, I mean like 10,000 exactly. I know that briefly it did go down to about 10,500, and that's actually a good thing because it actually utilized 10,500 as a support, and that's actually really, really positive. One of the hard resistances now turned support. That's very positive. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's zoom in a little bit here. So ever since Bitcoin went up all the way to 11,400, you can see after that, a day or two later, it came back down. And take a look. This 10,500, it hit it exactly before bouncing back up, right? That's no coincidence, because this is the point, if you actually zoom out a little more, you'll see that this is a point that Bitcoin was not able to pass many, many times. You can see right here. Try to do it once over here, a couple times over here, right? So this 10,500, and even once over here, but though it didn't come close to it. But this is actually very promising. The fact that this was a hard resistance for Bitcoin to break out. And after we did, now we're utilizing it as a support. That's very, very positive in my opinion. And since then, since that one little hiccup, Bitcoin has just been rock solid. I mean, this is even more than I expected, that Bitcoin has been holding this strong. And you know what? That's why it feels a lot like 2017. I've been saying that, even though some of you guys know me as the ultimate bull. But you know what? Even me, I expected Bitcoin after we, had such a big recovery. When we're going sideways, you know what? I was holding my breath because I still thought that Bitcoin would come down once again to maybe 7,000 or 8,000 before rounding back up. But no, Bitcoin proved me wrong because there's just so much good things going for Bitcoin in this time of uncertainty, and that's why it's holding so strong. And now that we have broken out, it seems like we're definitely on our way to breaking some more highs that Bitcoin had before. 10,500 is obviously one of them. 12,000 is another one. Then it's going to be 14,000, and then it's 20,000, right? So definitely a good time. 11,300 and let's just say 50, and we'll see where it goes. And if you look at like the 4 hour, right now, like these short-term indicators don't really mean all that much because of the momentum behind it. But the 4 hour actually looks like there's still room to grow. All right, so that's number one. Looking at CMC, BTC dominance did go down and then came back up, but it's still not as high as before. 62.4%, that's not bad. And you can see today is a good day. A lot of altcoins are rallying, but of course, over the past week, a lot of these altcoins drained out, and that always happens with Bitcoin pumps. The liquidity gets drained out of all the altcoins because people are pulling out and switching back to Bitcoin. And when Bitcoin becomes a little bit stagnant and consolidates, then that money flows back into altcoins. That's kind of what we're seeing now, because after we hit 11,000, kind of stood here for a while, so people are putting some money back into altcoins. And I could look at some of these altcoins during the Q&A session, but surprisingly, Ethereum is still doing well, right? Up 8% today, almost $350. And some of these other ones are starting to go up. And we'll see. We'll see where they end up this weekend. All right, so let's take a look. There's a couple articles that kind of shares my viewpoint in terms of why it's looking so bullish right now for Bitcoin, why it could be start of a rally to 20,000, right? So let's take a look at this. This analyst is looking at an indicator called Heikin Ashi, where it's utilizing candles, and all these indicators are lagging indicators, but they do measure a lot of previous data, and they're all like averages and means and stuff like that, right? There's a ton of them. And Heikin Ashi is one I've heard of before, but someone's looking at like fractal patterns of these Heikin Ashi candles. So as you can see here, too bad I can't zoom in. This is what it looked like in 2012. Obviously a little bit different back in 2012. Bitcoin was way lower. But you could see 3 candlesticks, very large one, red candlesticks, and then brief period of, basically sideways, and then boom, right? 2015, when Bitcoin hit bottom once again, from 1,200 crash all the way down to like $160. You can see kind of the same thing, right? 3 red candles and then flatness and then boom. And now 2020, even though this is not 2018 when we saw our 3,100 bottom, but we did see a bottom in 2020. But you can see it looks pretty similar. So does this mean it's the start of this or start of this? Maybe. Because the start of this and start of this ended up being thousands and thousands of percent higher. So could it repeat itself? Sure it can, right? So 2021 is the year where Bitcoin is supposed to go really parabolic because it's the last year of the 4-year cycle. Although some people are saying maybe it gets pushed back to 2022. Still, in order for that to happen, Bitcoin has to do a significant rally this year. At least, the last 4 months of this year, we should see some significant movement for Bitcoin if 2021 is going to be that parabolic year. Obviously, if it doesn't do anything, it still could happen, but it just makes more sense if it starts, right? So this could definitely be the start of something. Fundamental case for Bitcoin is stronger than ever, and this is something I've been saying recently. A lot more billionaire investors out there, they're looking at Bitcoin simply as, not as a lottery ticket for them, because they're billionaires already. They don't need a lottery ticket. But they're looking for ways to park their money without worrying about devaluation, because due to inflation. That's what they're looking at. And surprisingly, there's a lot more stories about the people coming around and turning to Bitcoin. They're not going all in on Bitcoin, but they're starting to put money into Bitcoin, and this is just the beginning. So the fundamental case for Bitcoin, the higher it goes and the more stable it is, the stronger the case it is, or it's building to be an alternative to gold, to actually being a true digital store of value that's a lot more usable, a lot easier to carry, and you don't have to worry about it melting or something. But yeah, the fundamental case is growing, and not only from a store value perspective, but usage, adoption. Obviously big companies are adopting Bitcoin now, finally coming around. Payment processors like PayPal, Venmo, you got Visa, MasterCard looking at it, and you know what? It's hard right now, right? That's why you see someone like Peter Schiff, who's a big Bitcoin bear. You look at his tweets now, there's nothing he could say. I mean, there really isn't. He could continue to say gold is better in his opinion because it's been around for a long time. Yeah, sure. But all his narratives about, Bitcoin's going to crash back down to 1,000 or 0, or how every time it can't break 10.5, it's going to go down and this and that. He can't say anything. I mean, because none of it is happening, right? So the bearish cases for Bitcoin is just really, really going out the window. There's just really nothing you could say. Right? I mean, the only thing you could say is, let's go crash back down again. But look at where it is now. It's not at all-time highs, but it's above 11,000. It's not like we're talking like Bitcoin is at 1,000 like at the beginning of 2017. No, it's still 11x higher than where it started in 2017. And that was only 3 years ago, right? So very positive, of course, for altcoins. If Bitcoin is so strong, altcoins will continue to do well, right? We have many altcoin seasons here and there, but when Bitcoin truly starts to move, starts to really rallying and pumping hard, that's when that money is really go flow into altcoins, just like the tail end in 2017 and the beginning of 2018. So very, very, very promising. All right, here's another one. Bitcoin is going to 13.5. This quarter analyst explains why. And they're basically looking at this pattern. I've shown you guys this descending triangle that we've been in, or descending wedge. We finally broke through it, and the next really logical target is, they marked at 13.5, but I marked it at the peak of the candlestick, so the peak was right around 14,000. That's why I say after 12,000 it'll be 14,000, but 12,000 is right here and 14,000 is right at peak over here. So it makes sense. Why wouldn't it touch upon these points, right? But they're looking at this as like a bullish flag, right? And you look at, kind of like the flagpole, and then you got a flag over here. So could happen. Definitely could happen, right? Here's another one. Interesting. Bitcoin's historical performance in July, going back all the way to 2012, where it had a really, really good year in July, or a good month, I should say, in July. And then you had some good years and not so good years. Interesting enough, right now what we're seeing, today's the last day, so unless it just horrendously dips down, This will be the second best July in the last 8 years. Interesting fact. Last year, Bitcoin actually lost 6.2%. The year before, 21%. In 2018, that was probably a recovery from the low. And 2017, of course, Bitcoin was rallying. But look at it. Even when Bitcoin is rallying in 2017, it only went up 16% in 2017. That's interesting. So we're actually having a really, really good month. And yeah, it's exciting. All right, what else? I mean, this is kind of a sad story, but I think people are now starting to realize this. So someone posted this on Reddit, said, I lost everything in my sleep. I woke up this morning realizing I lost all my hard-earned money and savings in about 2 hours. Someone got access to my private keys and everything was gone. And he's like, it's like a sob story. I have student loans and now there's zero chance to get it back. What do I do? Right? So this is one of those things. It's good and bad with crypto, right? There's a lot of Bitcoin Maximus, or let's just say blockchain Maximus, that, like the fact that you control your keys and there's no recourse for anything, okay? You send money to someone, you cannot get it back. And they actually prefer it that way because they feel like they're more in control. The problem is when you get hacked, you can't get it back. It's not like your bank account or your credit card, which happens often. Your credit card, fraudulent things happen. The company takes care of it for the most part. They'll just cancel out the charges and away you go, right? A lot of those things, we bitch about how credit cards and do all this and that, right? They charge evil fees and all this stuff, but they do help you when you need them. In crypto, there is none, right? Some of the exchanges are being good custodians. They have insurances. So if you have your funds parked on Gemini or Coinbase or Binance or whatever, I don't know about Binance, but for the most part, if it gets hacked, they will cover you. But not if your account gets taken over, only if they get hacked. That's the important thing to know. If you get hacked and your accounts get liquidated, that's still on you. But still, the argument here is someone makes a comment that custody or true custody that people can rely on is important for major adoption. And I think that's true. Because you think about it, most people that get in the game, they're rushing into the game. Unlike everything else, there's a learning curve. And security is a big part of it, right? Some people still use email or text messages as a two-factor authentication method. And those are horrible because we have seen people get SIM hacked. I've been SIM hacked before, right? So you want to use Google Authenticator or Authy, but you know what? Sometimes bad things happen. You lose your phone. Your phone gets stolen or whatever, and then it's just a big pain to get it back and stuff. So yeah, there's pros and cons to everything. Bottom line is, if you're in a crypto game, you gotta be really, really protective of your own crypto. But I do think, like in the future, for major adoption, I do think good custody is a necessity. Otherwise, normal Joes would never dare to hold any significant amount of Bitcoin or any crypto, because if it gets hacked, that's it. And not many people are willing to risk that. And I think this is part of the reason why a lot of institutional investors are looking at Bitcoin futures right now, or Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust, because they just want to buy something and put it into a brokerage. Okay? They don't want to worry about all the security stuff, because there's no way that any hedge fund right now would buy $1 billion of Bitcoin and actually try to secure the private keys for themselves. That's just too much of a risk. They're not going to do it. So that's why they either go to a custody service like Coinbase Custody and have them do it, or they simply buy Bitcoin futures, which for them is pretty much the same thing. For us, it's not the same thing. For them, it's the same thing. So yeah, so that kind of sucks. Anyway, Anyways, I bring up Market Watch because the market has been fluctuating a little bit, but I want to bring out that gold is at almost $2,000. 1993, it's up 3%. Not as Gold does not move nearly as fast as Bitcoin, nor will it ever. But the fact that gold is also reaching all-time highs, this pretty much, validates this theory that people are buying gold and Bitcoin as a hedge against inflation, because it just makes a whole lot of sense right now. We got a second round of stimulus that's coming in the US, probably in other countries too. It's a lot of money that is being printed out, and inflation is coming. So a lot of people are trying to prepare against inflation. And even the most diehard people that don't believe in Bitcoin, like my brother-in-law, one of his good friends, is one of those, I guess, stubborn people that just refuse to listen about Bitcoin because he just thinks that it's silly. It's a digital currency that was created out of thin air, and there's no way it could be of any significant value. But now, fast forward to today, he's reading about the news, reading about what the governments are doing, reading about more chances of hyperinflation that's coming due to all the printing that is being done. And now he's interested in Bitcoin, and he actually thinks that Bitcoin is a good store of value, right? It's kind of interesting how that works, right? And a lot of people are paying attention. So I think it doesn't have to be one or the other. There always seems to be in the crypto community, it's either for Bitcoin or against Bitcoin. It doesn't have to be. It could be both, right? People go old gold and silver and Bitcoin. It doesn't have to be one or other. But if you look at historical performances, it's just silly not to buy Bitcoin. When gold finally reached all-time highs after the last 11 years. Bitcoin, you go back 11 years, you'd be a multimillionaire if you just held on even a $1 Bitcoin. So big difference in terms of performance. Anyways, I think that's it. Look at Bitcoin is still rallying, 11,364, and it's still going up there. Our previous high was about 11,400-ish, and it seems like we're gonna be touching that pretty soon. And then we'll see if we can break through that. Maybe 12,000 is in store for tonight. So yeah, I need 20K per BTC to go buy a house. Tony, congratulations. You are live? Yes, I am live. I'm live every Friday. Although looking at my numbers, looking at people that is tuning in right now, I can tell that notifications is still not working properly. And it's a report bug because the person that helped me get my channel back, he also made note that he subscribed to my channel on purpose, and he realized my non-live videos he was getting notifications, but my live videos he wasn't, and he's trying to help me get it fixed. But I don't know, YouTube right now just seems like they're so understaffed, and all these cases are going unheard. So I don't know. But why am I not streaming on Twitch anymore? I want to stream on all 3 platforms, but the way Restream works doesn't really work with YouTube. YouTube streaming doesn't work exactly the same way, although today I tried a new way of streaming on YouTube, and it seems to be the same thing where you just kind of set things up and then you hit stream, right? But with YouTube, you have to worry about a few things. You have to worry about the description, the thumbnail, and stuff like that. So you have to populate it in first. On Twitch and DLive, you don't have to. You could do that later. But with YouTube, because I do want people to search for and see it, I do want to add it in there. So it's difficult streaming to all 3. So I don't know. I don't know if I can continue streaming on all of them. I do want to. I'm going to still try to figure it out. I promised I was going to do so this week. Ran out of time. Next week, I'm going to try to figure it out. Also, I got a whole bunch of new camera equipment. Actually, it's old camera equipment, but I'm just getting a new setup. But I have a new DSLR that's hooked up. Like, you guys can't see behind my monitor. The quality of that is amazing. Not that it really matters during these live streams. You just see a little picture of me. But man, that camera is amazing. So finally, I'm gonna be able to utilize it. I'm gonna set that up. So maybe next week when I stream, it'll look a little different. I'll look a lot better. And plus, I plan on using it to stream anything else, any of my other channels that's going on. Don Patrick, yeah. That's what YouTube on Twitter responded to me with a generic answer. That's why I'm doing air quotes, not just for the fun of it. They responded that, hey, tell all your subscribers to just resubscribe and re-notify. I'm like, how am I going to tell all my subscribers to do that when they're not getting my notifications in the first place, right? So it's like a chicken or egg thing. Like that's their answer to me. So I'm like, how does that work? You know, it's not gonna work like that. I don't know if I can even show you guys the response here. How do I show responses? There we go. So I wrote to them or tweeted them a few days ago. Ever since I got my channel back, notifications not working properly, especially on my live stream. Just to confirm, have you asked your subs to follow the steps outlined here, which is to hit the notification button? I'm like, how do you expect me to reach out to 60K when they aren't getting notified in my videos? And they DM me saying the same thing. They're like, oh, you know, make sure to tell your audience to re-notify themselves. I'm like, how am I going to do that if they're not even watching in the first place, right? So, yeah, it's just live streams are just not really working well. Hopefully, some of you guys are getting this. I did mention the NBA season is back. I'm heavy into sports cards. I know some of you guys know that. A lot of you guys don't care, but that's why rather than just continue to talk about sports card here, I kind of told you guys I'll go start another channel. It's called New Era Wax. It's supposed to be New Era of Wax. Wax meaning packs. So I started a channel. I rebranded one of my old channels, George's Tips, to this. That's why I have a few subscribers, as some of you guys may have been notified this. But if you're interested in basketball, just general basketball chat or sports chat, later on we're going to be talking about other stuff, and cards, then subscribe and we'll start watching these videos, and we'll start putting some videos. So it's called New Era Wax. So just search for that. And there you go. So I'm doing that channel with my friend Joel. So, alrighty. Well, I'll turn it to you guys now. 11,415. Things are looking good. It's still heading higher. I'll turn it back to you guys for a Q&A. Superman try to get ahead of the curve and try to go on TikTok for crypto. It just doesn't work. TikTok is an interesting animal. It is very, very addictive. But it seems like the ones that's most addictive is just people doing really stupid stuff, or you're a really hot girl and you're dancing. So TikTok doesn't seem to be really that good for normal content. So we'll see where it goes. But obviously it's a big upcoming social media platform, and it's growing. It's almost as big as Instagram in terms of monthly users. I mean, it's pretty amazing how fast it's growing. So love to incorporate it for anything I'm doing, but it's hard right now. Can Chainlink hit 50 based on their market cap? What? They have to almost go 10x. So let's just say 10x. That'll make them hit $76. So that would mean their market cap is at 26 billion. Can they hit there? Sure. Ethereum is at 38 billion. So theoretically, can Chainlink go to $76? Yeah, that would be 10x. Can they go to $763? Then I would say no. Because that would put them at, what, 260 billion in market cap? That would be bigger than Bitcoin right now. I just don't see that. I mean, 260 billion, if you look at tech companies that are actually valued at 260 billion, they're pretty darn big, right? So unless Chainlink becomes one of the global powerhouses, of the world is probably not going to get to 260 billion. At least not anytime soon. But 10x, sure it can happen. If you're over 30 on TikTok, you feel like a creep, or you are a creep. It's okay, Tony. We know you're on there all the time. You don't have to downplay it to hide how much time you're on there. It's okay. ADA is dropping off. Post mainnet drop. Yeah, I mean, don't worry about Cardano. It hasn't gone up anymore after the Shelley hard fork, but look at where it is now. It's at number 8. It is in the top 10. 3.6 billion. No problems. It is just a matter of time. It will flip with Litecoin, BSV, and Bitcoin Cash. There's no reason why it can't overtake all of those with time. So don't worry about it. And projects like EOS, I haven't heard much about EOS. Their voice is still in beta. Last time I checked, it looks pretty, but it's just like 5 people that's on there. But I do expect, like Binance, it's go regain its momentum, but Chainlink still has it. Just took a slight breather. Tezos has it. Tron, we'll see. But these guys will all start moving up, and hopefully, like Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV will drop off pretty soon. Now, Crypto.com is a weird animal. It's part of Monaco, or now it's called Crypto.com. There's a two coin setup, and Crypto.com coin is what powers the network, but it's not available for trading for U.S. residents. So it's kind of weird. I'm fearful of how high Crypto.com is. Okay, now Monaco, MCO, is still doing well. It goes up and down, it trades, but this just seems to just keep going up and up and up and up, and I fear there's something going on with this. Just a hunch. Doesn't mean that there actually is, but there's just something not right with this, because this should not be this high. Crypto.com itself does not have this much adoption or usage to justify the network coin to be at $3 billion. It just doesn't make any sense. So, message deleted by Google moderator team. There's actually a moderator team on here. Interesting. Usually I have my own channel moderator, but I've never seen Google moderator team unless someone named their name as Google moderator team. That's interesting. Huh. All right. Anyways, VeChain is finally waking up to how good of a project it is. Yes, VeChain is starting to move. It has moved, but it hasn't really moved past number 19. It was stuck at 2019 for a while. But VeChain, you'll see, it's on the verge of surpassing Tron, right? So now make it the biggest Chinese-based crypto project out there, which they should be. I mean, if you look at, yes, Justin has tried to do his best to get Tron going with all these acquisitions, but VeChain has all the partnerships, especially in China. Any big project in China that's involved with crypto, they're involved with VeChain, right? And even VeChain is involved with Australia with the huge government contract to track supplies from China. Walmart, any big company that tracks supply chain, they're utilizing VeChain. And this is up and running. This is not theoretical or waiting. They're already going. So VeChain is finally getting some love. It will pass Tron. It will be in the top 10 eventually. So it's good to see that it is going. I'm not sure what's going on with Neo anymore. It's been waiting. Neo 3.0 has been waiting for a while. I don't know if they're any closer to it, but it has been moving. It's been stuck in $8 for a long time. But now it's at $12. It is moving, but I'm wondering, maybe some of you guys follow Neo closer than I do, but I'm wondering if they're any closer to Neo 3.0 right now. Where's their blog? NEO partners with blockchain-based service network to drive mainstream adoption. Okay, decentralized storage solutions compared. Okay, here we go. NEO launches NEO 3 Preview 2 to accelerate developer innovation. Okay, that was back in April. Haven't heard anything else after that, so I guess NEO 3.0 is still being worked on. That's gonna be their next big thing. All right. Oh, I forgot to show you guys this picture. A day in the life of a holder, especially now, right? Right now, it just seems like Bitcoin either holds, there's like no worry about it, like a impending like doomsday drop. And you know what? You wake up every day, you feel pretty good. You check your portfolio, it's up, great. If it's not up, okay, you don't feel anything, you don't feel any worry, right? Not like the old days where, like, man, you're afraid that to check your portfolio the next morning, right? Like, what if it goes down 20 or 30%? Those days kind of seems to have passed. Ever since Bitcoin fell down to 3,000 or 3,800, yeah, that was one of those days, right? You woke up, it was like 5,000. You woke up the next day, it was 3,000. That was horrible. But those days seem to have disappeared. Ever since Bitcoin started coming up from 3,800, just pretty steady. I mean, yeah, months have passed where kind of just going sideways, even though it's up and down, but pretty much sideways. Now, 11,441. Just got Bullet Bowl bourbon from Costco. I never tried that before. I'm starting to really like bourbon or whiskey. I still can't really drink it straight up. It's just a little bit too much. I still need just a splash of something, but yeah, it's good stuff. Look at the weekly and tell me that's not bullish. Let's take a look. Yeah. Well, obviously, two huge green candlesticks, RSI is going up, right? This honestly scared me. This was one of the reasons why that I thought an impending drop was coming for Bitcoin. While Bitcoin was stuck in the 9,000s, because you could see that RSI, even though it didn't top out, it was starting to come down. Stochastic RSI was starting to come down. This is usually a momentum shifter, right? So you could see the last time this happened, oh yeah, that's horrible, right? So this was starting to scare me that, hey, we were starting to come down a little bit. We went to 9,000, right? And I was afraid that a doomsday drop may have been around the corner. Not doomsday, not down to like 3,000, but like maybe like a 7,000 drop. But the momentum just kicked in. Whales are buying because of inflation fears, and now it's going right back up. So, looking very good. What about if we go even higher, going to monthly? Yeah, monthly is also pretty good. You could see that RSI bounced off of around 50, right? And it started going higher. Stochastic was, still on its way down, but both have turned. So, looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Let's go back to 1 hour. What's the next gap? 11.8? I did hear about that. 11.8 gap has been around for a long, long time. That was around since, I don't know, 2019? What was the last time I don't want to go monthly, daily. Last time was around here somewhere. So, yeah, August-ish of 2019. So, 1 year, Man, that seemed like it was much longer than 1 year. It seemed like it's been like 5 years, right? But yeah. Yeah, to comment on what Blade Runner is saying, new people are still afraid. Yeah, I think when new people are looking at Bitcoin, two things they're worried about, right? Volatility and also custody. So volatility is still there. Obviously, we can't pretend like Bitcoin can't move 10, 20% in a single day in both ways. That still happens. You take the good with the bad, right? But custody is a big thing. That's why a lot more people are starting to buy Bitcoin on like a brokerage app, like Robinhood. A lot of people are just starting to buy it on Cash App, Robinhood, because they don't really want to worry about custody. They just want to get the gains, right? So they leave it there, they sell it there, they never try to move it in and out. And I don't know if like Robinhood or Cash will somehow insure it. Like if somehow your account is compromised, if they will do anything about it. But like the new people that's coming in, that's what they're doing. They're not trying to go on Binance and trying to buy. Okay, all the new people are trying to go on the brokerage apps or apps that they know. Pretty soon, you'll open your PayPal app and you'll be able to buy Bitcoin on PayPal, right? That is going to be a huge thing. Think about how many people actually use PayPal. You'll be able to buy straight from PayPal. But PayPal itself is not the greatest company because they kind of just do what they want. They act like a bank, but they're not regulated like a bank. So they can just hold your funds and suspend you and you're just kind of like out of luck. So it's good and it's bad, my point is. So we'll see. Going forward, we really need to solve this custody issue, security issue, to really get normal people to really feel comfortable to hold, okay? Not just to trade, but to actually hold it. So that's going to be important, and we know there's not that many Bitcoins around, right? What is it at now? We're at 18.5. 18.5 million that's been minted out, and there's only 21 million, right? So there's not that many left. So you want people to hold it. If you hold it, no one sells, that's where it starts really going up. So that and volatility. But as Bitcoin goes higher, I think that's where volatility kind of just dies down too, because there's so much money in there. It makes manipulation of it that much harder with that much market cap. So I think volatility kind of just goes away by itself. Any news from Time Traveler? No. I wish I got news directly from Time Traveler. All right. Anything else, guys? Seems like chat is starting to die down. Unfortunately, it looks like notification is still not working. So you guys are if you guys are part of any groups, any other channels, whatever, make sure you let people know. I'm still gonna work with my guy from YouTube. Hopefully we can get this fixed so we can have more people, more lively chat. But going forward still, I'm going to try to figure out how to fix Restream so I could do YouTube and Twitch and DLive all at the same time. And that way I think it covers my bases. It secures me a little bit better, so I'm not just dependent on one platform. But yeah, so you guys see my Twitter, bottom left corner. Make sure you follow me on Twitter so that you're up to date on what's going on with me. I still, my schedule, some of you guys are still unaware. My schedule is still Fridays, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time for my live streams. Of course, if there's something huge going on within a week, I'll have one. That's where follow me on Twitter will get you notified. All right. That's about it. Bitcoin is definitely doing well. We went to 11,400 something in the stream. came down a little bit, but I have a feeling what we're going through right now feels so much like 2017, where all the momentum is there, it's going higher, and Bitcoin could possibly be at 12,000 by tonight, possibly 14,000 by the end of this weekend, and possibly 20,000 sooner than we all expect. So it's definitely a good time. Definitely a good time. All right. And yeah, I mentioned this already. If you guys are into cards, sports, especially basketball, follow me on my new channel, New Era Wax. So I'm going to start posting some videos there too, because I like cards and they're really hot right now too. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Hit the like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and of course, tune in to my next live session next Friday. But I still put out videos, very short and informative videos, where a lot of people still complain about. But watch those; they actually have good information. At least I think so, and I think I will continue doing them. All right, take care, guys. Bye bye.